Well, hello everybody. This is your old pal Devilpig Dave Johnson, and we're just doing it small tonight, getting ready for the big Mignola broadcast tomorrow. I don't know how many people are going to watch tonight, but what the hell? It's two guys sitting around shooting the shit, having fun, talking, drawing, trying to get some stuff done. So it's tonight. It's Zach Howard. And
Hello.
so Zach.
How's it going, Dave?
It is going okay. So let's see what's going on. We got one viewer. Yay!
Crushing it.
Success already. So we'll save some of your art for a little bit later in case somebody actually is watching.
I think that's about what I average for most of my inking broadcasts.
Yeah.
So we're right on par.
Well, now we got 10 people. Woo! Hey, we got Rossi in the house.
Hey, Rossi.
Or is it Rosie? Is it
Rosie? I think it's Rossi. I asked her the other day.
All right.
I didn't want the voice in my head to be wrong.
I always screw that up. I'm terrible with names. But thanks for being here. Let's see. I was gonna show some. Well, one of the reasons you're on is you're trying to pimp your own company. I got some CBD oil showing now, some different types.
We started with CBD for pets. My wife's a vet. We developed that. It went really well, and we just moved into CBDs for people. So which seems to be going well as well.
I gotta say, you remember I was having back problems and or upper neck problems, and you sent me a bottle of the mint chocolate that I got on screen right now.
Yeah.
And, normally I'm not, I'm a little hard to believe that kind of stuff, but it actually did a pretty decent job. I can't complain.
So. Well, good. Personally, I have arthritis issues, so I've found it to be most beneficial for pain and arthritis and muscle soreness and things like that. But it, has all sorts of uses, and the studies are just profound. The amount of things going on in universities. I don't know if that's going on right now with the current apocalypse, but just tons of research right now going on in the CBDs. And
so you can order it by going to ideal
-organics.net.
Okay.
I have a code, checkout code, 10% off if you put in the word comic book, one word.
All right, comic book. Rock on.
Next month. But we don't need to bore everyone, man. We can thank you. And if they're interested, we got tons of information. And we try to make this stuff as spectacular and potent as possible, so people don't. It's just so expensive. I was losing my ass when I first started using it, so I'd like to provide it for people so they don't lose their ass.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite.
What I'm going for. What else? And are you still working on the Hellboy book, or did you finish it?
No. Surprisingly, I actually finished the book.
Right. I was going to show some of that. Let's see.
Yeah, that's the cape. That was the previous book. That's Joe Hill. For those that are into it.
So this
is cover number 2 right there.
Cover to number 2. So it's a Devilpig exclusive.
I'm not allowed to say what he's fighting, but it's really fun in the book.
All right. Let's see what else I got here. Nope, that's not it.
There's Hellboy fighting Venom.
You mean Spider-Man?
Sure.
And let's see. Here's a page
Hellboy fighting a coffin.
All right. What issue is this from?
Issue 1. I can show some of the art from issue 1.
All right. Let's see what else. Here's another page. I think you ought to try a little harder You know, when
Oh,
it comes
me?
to drawing and inking. I
I
mean,
just, I don't
stop
care if
being
people
so
call me lazy. I just go as fast as possible, Dave.
stop being so economical with your art. You know.
You like that? It's all about commercialism. Because if
Yeah.
you're not making money, what are you doing?
And this is the cover to number 1.
Yes. Yeah. How cool. I just asked Mignola if I could do some covers. They said sure. And then they gave me the A covers. So that's intimidating.
Yeah, I always got the B covers. Or
Well,
did I? Well, not necessarily. I can't. Hell, I can't even remember at this point. But
I remember your pinup. I think it's
yeah.
Hellboy jumping through the ceiling or something.
Uh,
Fighting like a Nazi robot,
oh my God, that was from the 90s.
The before time.
Yeah, it was right after Hellboy just started coming out. That was just for fun. I don't even know if did that see the print? Did that see the light of day?
It's in one of the trades. I know when I was researching for Hellboy, I saw that, and I think an Arthur Adams one, and maybe even a Vess, all in the same. It was a vicious lineup you were in.
Yeah, well, that's pretty ridiculous company to be keeping.
Wedged in there, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's how I feel about inking next to you today.
oh, please. You got me beat 10 ways to Sunday.
I can ink the fuck off of a leaf, and that's about it. If we're going head to head, I'd outleaf you. Okay, that's the only confident thing I can say.
I mean, as far as working with Mignola and the property, I mean, was that like a dream come true?
Oh, absolutely.
Like how old were you when Hellboy came out?
I think my first year of college, when I failed out before I went into the Marines. It was in what was it? Next Men. I believe he starred in a few issues of Next Men. Okay. I think that had just came out, and when I got out of the Marines, I think the second series was about to start.
All right.
Wake the Devil.
Yeah.
And then I was hooked. I had T-shirts, all sorts of stuff. It was pretty sick.
How did you get how did you get the job?
Well, I technically Hellboy was the first professional job I ever had, or at least paid gig that I ever did in comics.
All right.
But I said it ad nauseum. I was doing gaming illustrations at the time for Steve Jackson Games, and I may have said this on the other Drink and Draw podcast. Sucked really bad.
Whoa!
I had no clue what I was doing. Excuse me?
Say you sucked something to get the job. I'm glad you didn't go there.
I can't divulge trade secrets here, but we all know how we got in, right?
Well, that's how I got in. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just I forgot. We gotta. I'll regress a bit here before I get too uncensored.
Right.
But I knew I sucked at the time. I did my absolute best, and I just hoped one day I could prove it to him. You know, when I became a professional artist, I hoped one day I'd get the chance. And I did a quick, well, it wasn't too quick. I don't think I do anything quickly, right? I did a commission for a longtime fan that had been waiting forever, and I just posted online, and it was of Hellboy, and it was literally the first time I'd drawn him since my first job. And somehow Mike Mignola saw it and literally just wrote me and asked me if I'd draw a book for him. And wow. Yeah, I got pretty serendipitous because I planned on only doing one more, commercial, I guess, work for hire type of job. And then I was just gonna, I don't know, follow my muse and see where it takes me. But that worked out perfect because it's like kind of like end stones on a bookcase, Hellboy and Hellboy.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice if you can just become a man of leisure, and not have to work.
Yeah, I thought I'd just do that. No, I just I know I got about 2 years worth of commission lists built up, and
Damn, dude, 2 years worth?
well, I never do any.
Oh,
So
all
I mean,
right.
ever. So it's
Wait,
you know
are you taking money for these?
not this Conan.
Well, no, I mean, but you said you got 2 years worth of commission list. I hope, geez,
I
hope
leave that
people
up to
aren't.
my dealer, but we capped it for now, just barely, I think, just because I don't know what covers I'm going to be doing for Chris Ryle later this year. So,
Right.
and I need to leave a little room for a charity book I'm working on.
All right. Yeah,
So,
I learned don't overextend your commission list because then it just never gets done and you make people very angry.
yeah,
Not a good thing.
I can't sleep already, so all I need is more as existential dread, right? I think I only got about I have 2 posters, surprisingly, and then I got a bunch of middle range, uh, multi-character ones. And I don't know where we're at right now. I think we're capping it at 8 or 10 for now until I kind of know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It sometimes commissions are great, and sometimes it's just hard to get them done.
Oh, that's the story of my career, man. I couldn't. I was tired of letting people down, so I just said no commissions. And then lots of times when I'm at a con, I work 7 days a week drawing, and then you're at a con and I get worn out. The last thing I want to do is fucking draw ROM for somebody or something like that. And
Yeah.
you don't want to let anybody down at all, but you also, so I don't know. I just didn't do commissions for a bit. I do like quick free sketches for people, stress free. But once I started taking any serious amount of money at a con, I started getting really stressed out that, I was going to spill coffee on it or, or some shit. I don't
Yeah.
know. Or it'd just be one of those lemons, you're at the middle of a con and you're just drawing your worst drawing in a long time.
Well, it's funny, when I started this industry, you'd go to a con and, con sketches were just that, they were just sketches. And, you didn't kill yourself on them, you did as good as you could do, but, a lot of times they weren't inked, or if they were inked, it was, done fairly quickly. It wasn't about doing print quality stuff, and then eBay happened, and which and the internet happened. I mean, more than anything, and like so you knew you're this drawing that you did at a show. It wasn't meant to be super good, but all of a sudden now it's online.
Comicbookartfans.com.
Yeah,
Why can't you go reverse? Like your newest commission is at the front page, not the one you did in 1802 or
yeah,
some of, your worst drawing of Wonder Woman you've ever possibly done. And
yeah,
that's the first
precisely.
image everyone sees.
Yeah, it just became like, oh my God, I gotta step up my game. This is
Yeah.
not how I want to be represented for the rest of time. You know, and
Yeah, it's bad enough. I've sat next to Doug Wheatley at a con and just got my ass handed to me while he's doing these amazing painted pieces, and I'm doodling. I don't know, man. Commissions just. I like being at my best at all the time when I'm performing, and I'm sometimes I'm really good at a con, but it's hard to get that mojo, at least for me.
yeah, sometimes I feel bad because I took somebody's money. I gotta make it good, which usually means I gotta keep my head down, and it's hard to interact with people when you're drawing. You're kind of like,
Absolutely.
they come up and they want to talk, and you're just kind of like, shit, I got to get this drawing done, kind of a mode. I know a lot of
I'll be in
guys
the middle of a lot of sentences, just a lot of 3-word sentences that just trail off when people are trying to talk to me. And yeah, I feel like a tool as well, man. Or I don't know if you feel like that. I feel like a tool.
Well, I mean, I definitely feel bad about it. You know, it's you know, but what can you do? You know, I mean, ultimately, you know, a convention is some of the ways we make money. You know,
a lot of people make a lot of money that way.
Yeah, yeah. All right. We got a question from Miss Gifford. Question time. You have to assemble a 3-man team for a book. Who and what role for whatever genre, present or deceased, creatives. A 3-man team. So I guess a writer, a penciler, and an inker.
Like an all-time team?
Yeah, if you could pick anybody, I guess. Wow. I would.
Yeah, does it have to be 3 people? Could it just be like 2 guys working and 1 guy standing in the corner cracking jokes?
Well, yeah. I mean, most of the artists I love, you know, you don't need an inker for. How about this? Alan Moore writing a story that Mobius draws. How about that?
And I sit in the corner in the dark smoking a cigarette, and I don't even smoke.
Or imagine Alan Moore writing and Jack Kirby and Joe Sinnott doing the art.
Yeah, that could work for almost anything.
I mean, holy crap.
Yeah, I like the Alan Moore Mobius thing. That'd be something, huh?
I mean, you know, I mean, let's be honest. Mobius has worked with some pretty awesome writers, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know the stuff that he writes himself, but well, thank you. Let's see. So Dave, that would be okay. Cool. I'm trying to think of who else.
I would like to see somehow like some crazy alchemy, like Claire Wendling working for somebody we would traditionally think of just being a Western writer.
Yeah.
Or American writer, I should say, rather.
Man.
Like really break people's heads like they're tripping, like team her up with Garth Ennis or something.
Oh, yeah.
And really just break people's heads.
Did Garth Ennis ever write anything for Jorge Safino? I know Chuck Dixon did a lot of stuff.
Something, huh?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I like that. Garth Ennis, Safino. Who's coloring?
God, you would need somebody that wouldn't try to overpower the art, like somebody more flat.
Definitely with Safino.
Yeah, because I think people try to It's like when people try to color Dan Panosian.
Oh my God, that's.
You know, it's only Dan should be coloring Dan.
I just like it in sepia tone.
Yeah, precisely. Let the artwork breathe. You know.
So much energy already.
What about a Tomo and? Who would write good stuff for a Tomo?
What about?
That's a tough one.
Who's a slow burn that can just suddenly crackle? We need someone like that to mix them up with.
Well, somebody just wrote Neil Gaiman, Mike Plug, and Alfredo. I always forget how to say his name. Like I said, I can't pronounce names today. My brain is. But God damn it!
I wish I could help you, Dan or Dave. I can't even say your name. Fuck.
That's is it Al Catania? I put it up on screen. Alfredo.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it. Al Catania. I don't know. Someone's yelling at the screen at us right now.
We're so white.
Yeah, exceptionally. Especially us too.
Dave Stevens, Mobius, and Travis doing an J.H. Williams mix of style. That would just be weird. Yeah, it would be cool to see more Travis art. For Warren Ellis writing anything, yeah. That'd be really cool.
Ellis Zafino could be cool.
Yeah. I'm down with that. I'm down with the thickness.
Absolute thickness on that one.
I'm trying to fix some problems on this piece that I did.
What are you working on, Dave?
Finally finishing up a commission that I started on one of the previous drink and draws.
Cool. What is it?
He wanted a follow-up to this one. I don't know if you can. Yeah, there you go. I just did that for shit and giggles on a previous drink and draw night. But he wanted a spaceman. So it's almost kind of like this one's light. There's very little heavy blacks, and this one's all black, you know.
Very graphic and
yeah, it just kept adding more and more black to it, and it just kind of, well, now it's kind of like a yin and yang kind of thing. So,
do you ever worry about crossing like a 50% threshold of blacks or things like that on your page, like blacks and whites?
I used to when I was doing pages back. We kind of developed a theory back when I was at Gaijin that, you know, a page should be close to like 50% black. You know, if you were to squeegee it, you know.
Yeah.
And basically that would eliminate the possibility that the colorist back then, you know, when I first got into it was before, you know, Image brought the computer coloring, you know, stuff to bear. And so you would have just horrible coloring. I mean, to be honest, I mean, my very first book for DC was a book called The Web, where I did some work right before that for DC, but then wait a minute, no, that was my first thing at DC. I helped Joe Phillips out on one issue of it, and the deal was if I did a good enough job, they would let me do an entire issue on my own. And luckily, you know, I got the job. And when the book came out, the coloring was so just, I mean, they put no effort into it whatsoever. I mean,
just heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, it was my, you know, not only that, but it's funny. Dan, the inker was Bill Ray, and Dan was his assistant at the time. And I mean, it was a shit book, and I know Bill Ray didn't really care about it. You know, it was a paycheck, and you know, but to me, it was like, I mean, it was everything, you know, leading up to that. And
you don't have a library. That is your library, you know?
Well, and you know, it was my coming out party, you know. It was like, I finally made it to DC, and then the book came out, and I mean, Bill had erased a bunch of stuff that he didn't want to ink, silhouetted stuff that he didn't want to ink. And the colorist literally, I mean, I'm talking, put one shade of color on every, you know, just one shade. There was no
value.
There was no values. It was like if a costume was all yellow or nothing.
Oh my Lord.
Skin tones were one tone. Backgrounds were one tone. I mean, I was freaking horrified, man. I was so angry.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to explain to people the dagger that's stuck in your heart when you work on something for months, and you can just tell somebody during the production line gave
two shits about it,
or zero shits.
Yeah, zero.
Nuclear squadoosh. and you just poured your soul, your fingers bled, and this person's eating a ham sandwich while coloring magenta everywhere.
Yeah, no, that was basically it. It was magenta, yellow, blue, and maybe another color, and that was about it.
Was it those old 4-color gels or whatever they had to use back in the day?
I'm sure it was. I mean, it was, I mean, like you said, those old days where the coloring, you had to do a color guide, and then you had to mark every color with a number. And I mean, imagine it's almost like an office job at that point. After you color something, you got to go back and label everything like like it's a job.
It's a sausage factory, man. It kind of, your art and literature seem kind of on the back burner at that point.
Yeah. So, like, once again, when computers came along, it just opened up a million, possibilities. Especially with image, it opened up the possibilities of purple rim lighting on everything.
That lavender, like, ambient light or something.
Yeah. I mean, that shit was on everything. No matter what.
Every hair had, like, highlighting on it or something like that.
Well, no matter what the scene, or no matter what the light source, everything had to have purple rim lighting on it, and it was just hilarious.
I liked when you first saw the blur tool in Photoshop. All of a sudden, people are like showing things in the background, all blurry and everything. And
I know that
it just looked like it was out of focus.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it. I did a couple of pieces that way.
Well,
I was trying to create depth when I should have been creating depth with the art, not a Photoshop trick. So
it's hard sometimes. We all. Somewhere between deadlines and youth lies all those follies, I suspect.
All right, we got another question. What do you guys think of including black and white pages as digital back matter or print on demand? I don't know what digital back matter is. Do you know?
These are two old men talking.
I assume they're asking if it's a good idea if you're like buying a digital comic, that's colored as a bonus, maybe you get black and white pages, like a black and white version, maybe. I don't know.
I'm down for anything that shows my black and white art. I don't know about you, Dave, and there's exceptions to every rule, but I like when something leaves my hand, it's pretty much a finished piece of art. And, obviously there's exceptions to that, but I don't know. So I would love to see like every Hellboy page I drew in print black and white at some point. Not that I'm against color. I just think it's neat to see what I did versus, what the production process did.
Well, just get super famous and well thought of, and eventually IDW will do a giant book, an artist edition of your. So.
Who knows? Mike wrote one hell of a story, Dave. It feels like old school Hellboy, like Wolves of St. Augustine type era. Felt really good to work on that book, man.
Man, for some reason, I'm just not able to draw right now. It's a pretty shitty time for me to have art block.
I apologize for intimidating you. So Dave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really the John Buscema that's intimidating me.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who has to ink the ball sweat here.
You know what? I'm just gonna go freeform, and
it's my favorite thing you do. How you pull collages from thin air, Dave. Collages scare the living shit out of me, man.
It ain't easy.
No.
There's a lot of thought that goes into it.
Well, balance. Your visual balance is rare, is how I would say it.
It just becomes, a little bit of second nature to know where the line is, and not, nowhere not to overstep.
Yeah.
When it comes to detail and stuff like that. So,
just train that muscle.
Kinda, yeah. It's man. Oh, sorry, I can't. Let's see. I'm fighting it.
You're gonna make it, Dave. I don't think I've ever seen you stumped.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've been having a rough day.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Creativity. I'm just gonna try to draw something really fucked up.
Let's do it.
It's like some. You ever heard of Al Columbia?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't want to embarrass myself guessing.
This guy right here. He did a couple of books way back. God, when did this stuff come out? Maybe the 90s.
Huh.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, 94. It's called The Biologic Show. And this guy, look at this stuff. Look at it. Look how creepy this is. Freaking love this book. You can't even get this book. It's like on eBay, it's like $200 to $300.
Wow.
For just a regular comic. But yeah, he's been a huge
sick humor type stuff or just esoteric.
It's just weird stuff. It's kind of like he was, studying old Walt Disney, but it's Walt Disney if it was on acid and it was a psycho mass murderer kind of feel to it.
I dig it. That's a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah, it's just I've never been creeped out by a comic more than this. I mean, most comics, they try to be scary, but they just aren't,
They're just being gross usually.
Yeah, and his stuff just puts you in such a weird headspace that it just boggles the mind. So I don't know.
Awesome, man.
I'm gonna try to do something weird like that.
I'm gonna pretend I know how to ink a horse. Fucking horses, man.
I'm gonna start off with one eye and see where it goes.
Madman.
Just no net.
Dave's going commando, everyone.
So what's your tool of choice?
I don't know if, well, shit. Probably one of my tech pens, one of these two, which is Rotring 0.40 and Rapidograph 0.35. And then I also use these zebras that I'm using right now, all sizes. I'm in love with these fucking things.
I have not used a Rotring pen and I can't even remember when.
Well, you're a far smarter man than I, Dave.
It's got no snap, or do you use it specifically because it's got no line weight?
I think for that, because thanks, babe. I think I developed a style around first setting a deadline, then building around it. And the nibs became so organic, my brain had trouble finding those hard edges, if that made sense. So that, I'm kind of self-taught. So
yeah, I mean, I used them at the very beginning of my career, but it just
I got to the point where I do lines that just cannot be reproduced by anything else. So, I just developed a really shitty style around it. Some things are far more brush, but I still, pound for pound, I go back to my tech pens, man.
Hey, whatever works
for you. That makes sense. I find myself often going back to them. Probably a comfort thing.
Sure.
Not a speed tool, though, that's for certain.
No, that's except my very first gig was inking Mark Bagley on a black and white kind of creator owned thing that the guy who ran my comic shop put together, trying to cash in on the black and white market boom. And I inked the entire thing with a tech pen, and oh my god, it was terrible.
14-hour days.
Well, it's just not a good instrument to ink with. I mean, once again, you can't really get any variation in line if you're inking everything with it.
If you're inking everything, yeah.
Yeah, it's good for straight lines, but not it.
You don't need to be inking hair and shit with it.
Yeah. So, luckily, I learned how to do brush. I remember when I first picked up brush, I was trying to do that thin to thick,
Yeah.
But before I joined Gaijin, I was doing it from thick to thin, and the points never lined up, where you wanted them to. And then I joined Gaijin Studios, and I remember Carl Story kind of set me straight. Oh, you do it this way. And it was like, oh.
I had that moment too, when old Sean Murphy was living with me. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then showed me how to actually hold a brush. He was classically trained and everything. And here I was just inking with Rapidios and had no clue what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
So,
still tight with Sean?
No, we haven't talked. Shit, I don't know. 2012, 13, I don't know. It's been a few.
Man,
we used to be pretty tight back in the day, though.
Is it he just got too big for you, or? Well, okay, we don't have to go into that. I don't want to turn it into one of those podcasts.
No. But we'll just leave it at that. We used to be pretty good buddies.
All right. Well, that's hey, what goes around comes around sometimes. I mean,
I learned more about being an artist around Sean Murphy than anybody else. And when we were when he was living in my house, he was inking me at Vertigo and stuff like that, and we're working side by side. I think we both learned a lot. I helped him with storytelling, precision, discipline, whatever the fuck. He taught me about figure work and actually using the classical tools so I can actually do professional level work. It was a pretty amazing time.
Nice.
Two dummies. That's when we came up with Outer Orbit, just sitting side by side and drinking beer, shooting shit, and playing Nintendo in between. Ended up turning into a Dark Horse book, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But no, we haven't talked in a while. But it looks like he's blowing it up with Batman and everything, from what I can tell.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad right now.
Yeah, I would suspect, huh? He is the only, I would say, prodigal level talent I've ever met in my life. Where he just sat back and like, well, fuck, I can't do that no matter how hard I try. So.
Well, what about me?
That's why I like you, Dave, because I think I can do anything you do.
You can figure me. You figured me out, huh?
Yeah, open book, sir.
Yeah, I can't exactly argue with that. I don't think I do anything that's necessarily hard to figure out.
I actually, when I did have to draw a collage, I think for Wild Blue Yonder, I think I studied your work again, and that was the first time I'd studied your work since I was really early in the industry. And what I learned from your work, especially Dave, is just graphic impact while preserving kind of like an artistic, I don't want to say flair, but thrust or achievement, or pick your adjective, but you're able to stay an artist while working in a very graphic, commercial field. And to me, that's fucking magic, man. And that's what I try to emulate. Not you, just what you inspired in me.
Yeah, I was, most of any of that kind of stuff, it was just, I'm just looking at other people, that
Aren't we
inspired
all?
me. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to, say that, I don't know, I mean, I just learn from the best, I guess.
The smart ones always do. Don't learn from the most popular, learn from the best. And learning to figure out who the best is, or at least the best for you, that seems to be a hard trick in itself.
Yeah. And then kill them so they're no longer a competition.
Yeah, you gotta stab that. You gotta kick that shrine off the mountain, right?
Yep.
I'll tell you what. I just came off a gig where I had to. I had to emulate Corbin or translate. I don't know how you would state it. I had to kind of study his work and make sure I harmonized with it. And then he also had to do, the same with Mignola while making him happy and getting shit done. That was one of the most hardest. I had to literally just lie to myself while working on that job that I wasn't just some fucking scrub piece of shit, because it was an awkward sandwich to be in between.
I bet.
But if you don't fucking scare yourself, what are you doing?
We need some more
questions. I only take jobs that scare me.
Yeah. No, well, I used to take jobs that scared me. Now I just like, oh man, that's a lot of work. I want to ease into
retirement
my jobs. Yeah.
Oh.
Man, we need some more questions, man. What's up with these people?
I don't know. I guess I'm boring. I'm known not to be forthcoming. So.
Well, now's the opportunity.
Oh, Rossi's shitting on you, it looks like.
Oh, hold on. Let's see.
That's right. I'm daunting.
Oh yeah, that's been up there for
to be around, Dave, huh?
Yeah, that's, you gotta, pay attention. That's been up there for a while. Let's see. What do we got here? I get such good feeling watching these because it reminds me. Nice.
We got some kind words.
Yeah. Mark Lipka.
Pretty cool. Do you get intimidated anymore?
Oh, sure. All the time.
Because I found that the less I gave a fuck about what other people are doing, something died in me during Wildly Yonder and meeting actors and this and that. I just don't fucking care anymore. I just see people that have probably at some point in their life shit their pants. So I'm not that impressed.
Yeah, no, I mean, living in Hollywood, you meet people all the time, and my philosophy is I just treat them like I would treat anybody, which I would never go up to a perfect stranger and ask them to take a photo with me.
Yeah, or just hug them.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, what? I mean, that's just not cool, and I see it happen all the time. Like,
do you have a nerd out story? Because there's people that break us, man, when you aren't expecting to meet them and you start hyperventilating. At least I do, or at least used to, man.
I guess some of the coolest interactions I've ever had were like I was at a DC party at San Diego right after Superman came out with the newest Superman guy.
The actor?
Yeah. Why am I going blank on this?
I don't know. Is he pretty? I bet he's pretty.
Well, it's the main dude.
I honestly don't know if I've seen Superman.
You haven't seen Justice League or anything like that?
Nah, man. I just put Conan on repeat.
Jesus Christ. Henry Cavill.
There you go. Did he do a Netflix series like Swinging a Sword with glowing eyes? Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Witchfinder.
Witch.
Yeah.
Witcher. Ha!
Yeah, I got a chance to meet him because he had mentioned in an article that Superman Red Sun was one of the books that he read to, get in character. So it was funny. It was at this big, event, and he was sequestered, because everybody wanted to talk to him, and they had him in this bungalow and had a couple of security guards keeping people at bay. And I just said, you know what? Fuck it. And I walked up to the security guard and I just said, hey, tell Henry Cavill, the guy who drew Red Sun, is out here, wants to meet him. And I got ushered right in, man.
Kick ass.
Yeah. And let me tell you, that dude is way too good looking. I mean,
yeah.
It's you when you meet certain people, why they're, a star.
You feel it almost. It's like the atmosphere changes.
Yep. And that's, he was super gracious, super nice, no ego. Turns out he's a super nerd. He likes
That's
that kind
awesome,
of stuff, man. Wait, we got some questions. Hold on. Let's start all the way back here. All right. What do you feel is the work you're most proud of?
You want to answer that or me, Dave? It's easy for me.
You're the guest. You should go first.
That was courtesy of Prost. Shit. I'd say probably Wildly Yonder, because it was pretty chaotic at the time and I was still able to kind of pull it together and do my best work. At least, like, I took I could feel a substantial level up early on in that book, and it just seemed the curve of learning and execution seemed to go up every goddamn page in that book. And there were some major hurdles. That book got too popular too early, and I'm too green to know who the fuck is a vampire and who isn't. And then I have way too big of ego, and I think I can survive the vampires. I'll just grit it out.
Yeah.
And I was fucking wrong. I was big time wrong.
Yeah.
I got sucked to bone dry husk. That being said, I got nothing but love for that book. I'm really proud of what I did on Hellboy. I tried to bring the shit hose, Dave.
Nice.
I know I can't compete with those dudes right now, but again, when I'm fucking done, I want you to know my goddamn name.
Yeah. Hey. I'd have to say still 100 Bullets is, as far as work that still stands up. There's a lot of, stuff that I did in Super Patriot and Red Sun and all that kind of stuff. And I look at today and I wish I could go back and redraw stuff. But, and even, there's some 100 Bullets covers that I literally can't stand.
Well, you had 100 choices. The odds are, I don't know anybody that's strung together 100 covers that kept my interest, Dave. So,
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a case of, sometimes deadlines, or I would, fuck off so bad that, when it came time to put up or shut up, I would just have to bang something out, and then I would instantly regret it after I'd send it off. And that was always kind of a real gut punch. You'd think I'd learn, but,
I don't think any of us learn through repetition, it seems like. It's more epiphanies.
But, sometimes that's how the really cool stuff came about, like the rubber stamp cover.
That's what I was going to bring up when you paused. yeah, I think I read an article of you that you read that you had a deadline due and you did like an art college project where you did something similar and you said, fuck,
Yep.
I
Yeah,
pulled that one out. I'm a fan, Dave.
I was supposed to paint it because I was getting paid to paint it, to do painted covers. And yeah, my plan was to do a Leroy Neiman style. And on the last day, I sat down to do it, and I realized Leroy Neiman took a lifetime to develop that style, and here I was going to try to do it in one afternoon for the first time for a published piece. And
Punk rock that shit out.
yeah, I just realized that I didn't even try. I just knew it would suck. And in a desperation move, I remembered that thing I did back in art school, and luckily Office Depot was still open. They had a rubber stamp kit where you could put your own, because normally you'd have to, go to a print shop and get those things made. And it was a little kit that you could slide, rubberized letters into a holder.
Oh,
And
cool.
I just typed out loser and just started stamping,
And
and
it's one of your
sent it off, thought I was going to get fired. And not only did I not get fired, but Karen Berger, who was the head of Vertigo at the time, had never once said anything about the covers I was doing. And that one, she sent a message just telling me how much she thought it was a brilliant cover. And I was just like, bazinga at that point.
I bet, man. Your gunslinger moment at high noon, you hit the bullseye. That's awesome.
Yep. So, yeah, I'd say 100 bullets. So we got another question from Rossi. Does music and movies inspire you? If so, tell me the goods that do. All right, you got to go first again.
I don't. I think I'm rare in this. Is I don't pull a lot of external sources. Music, very inspirational to me. That's probably the most inspirational thing to me right now as an artist. Going down rabbit holes, wildly esoteric that you didn't even know exist, all the way to, just your countless favorite albums. You can fill a day, you can change a mood, blah, blah, blah. The power of music, wildly influential on me. But one thing I do find is I'm not really interested in being influenced by movies. I may be rare in this, but I don't see a lot of necessary influence going from movies to comic books. They're fun, putting in Indiana Jones in the background, but as far as getting influenced by them, I give zero fucks what's happening in Hollywood. I don't think that's where seldom does true artistic achievement, the genesis, find itself in LA.
Yeah.
That being said, that has nothing to do with all the great artists there. I didn't mean it like that. Just, I all like books and things like that inspire me now, like Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art and things like that. I get tumescent when I read that once a year, and or a David Goggins book or something. I don't know. I like books about kicking ass, and I draw better if other people kicked ass because I don't want to be one of the people left behind. And then I'm more. Sorry, I'm long-winded about this, Dave. I'll put a bow on it. I'm more influenced by how badass other people are because I don't want to fucking fall behind. I want to do something substantial before I die, and you got to be competitive, or at least your work has to be competitive. I don't mean that personally. You got to be able to hang with the best, or at least consistently enough to be noticed.
Yeah. No, I agree. Me and movies, I love watching them. I love watching TV shows, but I don't think they really inform me artistically, like regular, other forms of media, And I'm the same way with music. I like a lot of weird shit, and I like a lot of mainstream stuff. I've always said, music, if it hits me right, then I'm there. Doesn't matter what genre or who the artist is. Um,
I think Bob Marley summed that up. One good thing about music is that when it hits you, you feel all right or feel
yeah,
okay or
yeah,
whatever.
true.
So, very few things can put you in the mood like a good track, huh?
It's funny. A lot of my friends give me shit because I like ska. But I mean, ska was a very, I was living in Georgia, and most of the music was either shit that I didn't really like, like REO Speedwagon kind of stuff, or rock, and which was great. I mean, my very first group that I really identified with was Deep Purple, which
Oh wow!
a little bit after the fact, But I met this dude who became, my pretty much at this point my oldest best friend, and he was into it, and I was looking for something to hold. I guess I was looking for a direction.
Yeah.
I felt like I was kind of like I had no direction, and ended up becoming friends with this dude, and he invited me over to his house one day early on when we were getting to know each other, and I remember getting there, and he goes, "Hey man, do you like acid rock?" And I was like, "Whoa, dude, I'm not doing drugs with you." And he goes, "No, man, it's acid rock, like Deep Purple." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah," and that became, because I was looking for somebody to, I don't know, show me the way, show me any way, and but since then it's just been like I said, weird shit to normal stuff all over the place. So
It definitely happens, at least with me, when I'm not looking. There's always that yearning for something, but I'm definitely not looking when I find that muse.
yeah,
It's almost like it's in my periphery. I got to relax to see it.
I get it. Well, who's your, okay, if you were going to recommend a group to me that just blows your mind, you always come back to it, never
Oh my
goes
God.
out of style, who would that be?
Holy shit. No guidance besides that as far as like genres or anything?
Yeah, just, I mean,
Like weird, just straight up weird shit?
just, well, okay, something that's good that maybe me or anybody watching, you
Well,
know.
this one might be too popular now, but one person I got into a while back, I got into Ukrainian gypsy punk, and
Yeah, nice.
Go Go Bordello is the band to go see. It's about just 12 drunken assholes just jumping around on stage, and I mean, the music's spectacular from
All right, hold on.
observational to
I'm gonna write
cultural
this down.
to
Go go
Go Goal
go
Bordello.
go goal. Okay.
Yeah, GOGOL.
All right. Bordello.
Yep. Like your favorite place ever.
Nice. All right, I'll look them up. Yeah, I mean,
I can send you a few things.
no, I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Uh, you've heard of Mr. Bungle, right?
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah. That's
Mike
what
Patton, right?
it kind of reminded me that one California album. It kind of had some gypsy stuff in there.
Oh, I haven't listened to it in a while. Is that the one the one with the clown face. I know I had that album. I apologize, Mike Patton, wherever you are. I'm just remembering images.
No, I think it's like a swimming pool.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking of no, it's a white album, and it just says Mr. Bungle, California, and there's like a palm tree and
I think I had
sun.
that tape. That's right, young people. I had a fucking tape.
Yeah.
You can suck it. Me and my tape were happy.
But yeah, I always keep coming back to that. It's just
Does it for you?
well, it's just an amazing. It reminds me of Paul's Boutique, in the sense of you know,
where the band is starting to grow and people aren't hip yet.
Well, that Paul's Boutique album was such a crazy mixture of everything, you know, and that's the way California is. It's so many different types of music, but it all works, you know. Whereas some of their other albums are a little hard to listen to.
They get a little esoteric at times, right?
Yeah. I still want to be able to jam along with something.
What was of course, you know, you still want Jimi Hendrix at times.
Yeah.
Or at most times in my life. But didn't he do one album where he's like in a I think he like locked himself in a bathroom with like a microphone or something like that.
Yeah,
he had a concept album of Mike Patton.
He's done some. He's done some crazy shit. To be fair, and some of it is just you can't listen to it. You know, maybe once, and then after that you go, well,
there you go.
You know,
I listened to it.
You know, I love me some Mike Patton, but he took it a little bit too far on this one.
Yeah, he goes deep. He had a band where they all wore like bandanas over their face, and he would start rapping. And he's done quite a few things, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is awesome.
I agree. Faith No More, man. I think is one of the most underrated bands of all time.
Oh shit, yeah. I think some of that had to do with the Chili Peppers always getting in their way. From what I heard, Anthony Kiedis, just after that their breakout video, he thought that they were ripping him off, and they've like, if they found out a venue was going to be playing Faith No More down the road, they would say, we're not going to perform in your venue unless you cancel it, that kind of stuff. So
that's some weak shit right there.
Yeah.
Man.
So, all right, we got another question.
Do your thing.
We got another question. What's your favorite subject and type of project to draw?
If it's for me, I don't think I can do another book with the Appalachian Mountains again. I think that's been the last 3 years of my life. So anything not trees. I don't know. I really enjoyed drawing vehicles in Wild Blue Yonder. I don't know I don't really draw for fun. Do you? That's one thing I'm envious. I think I even see, I don't know why I'm asking you, Dave. It looks like you always draw for fun.
No.
Whether you do or not, you make it look like it is the magic, right?
The only times I draw for fun is usually at drink and draw. Or
I don't even do that though. I don't have a sketchbook. I don't know. I guess I'm an asshole. I
don't have a sketchbook either, man. I mean, it's all about just getting a job done, so I don't sit around and draw for fun, but it's more about, to me, at drink and draw, it's more about, well, you got to do something.
Yeah. You can't just you're hanging with your buds.
Yeah. So that's where that all came from. And in that case, it's kind of fun to do something where nothing matters,
I get it. No strings, that just kind of catch a wave and ride it, right?
Well, even that we kind of fucked up. The early days, I would bring chipboard and a couple of markers, and we would just do stupid fucked up drawings, and then after we published it, then it became like more real, and oh shit, I gotta represent.
You got to bring the shit hose every time.
Yeah,
right?
and then it almost became a job again, so
Then the magic's gone, I suspect.
and even these broadcasts, it's kind of like you feel like you have to bring the pain. You got to bring, like it, like what I'm doing with the main guys. It's like, oh shit, I got to do something really good. I can't let Dan and Jeff and Joe like kick my ass. Now I got to come up with a pre-game plan.
You got to stretch before.
Yeah, well, I guarantee tomorrow I'm gonna have a drawing already figured out before we even start.
Well,
and then I can just
there. You gotta come correct, right?
I don't even know if he's going to be drawing or not. I mean, he very well might just want to talk. So.
I have no clue. Well,
which is his prerogative,
Of course.
All right, let's see. Next question. What non-comic artist related influence do you guys have for inspiration? I mean, for me, early in my career, I was looking at everything. I mean, graphic design, anything that didn't have to do with comics, I was looking at. I mean, album art, movie poster art, especially like, things like you're talking about, composition. I was looking at, old, trash theater.
Cool.
Like blaxploitation posters.
That's awesome.
I was buying books on jazz and blues albums, just to get different perspectives, get away from the standard comic book influences. I remember early on people were saying, "Oh, you must have really loved Steranko," and it's not that I didn't, but I was actually buying books on artists that I think Steranko was being influenced by.
Yeah.
So I was actually getting it from guys like Bob Peak more than Steranko. I mean, Steranko, don't get me wrong. I mean, Steranko's the goddamn king of comic book graphic design. But I was actually getting it from his contemporaries in other fields, I guess.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. I need to do that.
Water source.
A lot of times, you get stagnant, and you don't want to necessarily be influenced by people that are doing stuff around you, because then, it'll look like their stuff. All
you can ever be then is kind of just slightly less as good as them.
Yeah.
If you're,
Yeah.
Get the stink, catch the whatever bug they have, and get the fuck out of Dodge and go back to your lab. Figure it out. Digest it.
Another thing that's really important is to have the right kind of job, assignment that you can really go crazy with, like you can bring those influences on. And I think that was why 100 Bullets turned out so good, is it gave me that freedom to bring other influences in, whereas a Superman cover wouldn't,
Yeah, your SOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I guess, I don't know. That's what I love most about your work. We've talked about the Batman stuff early on, what it influenced me, so I won't abuse you anymore. But there's something about that classic illustration that it seems to be missing. I don't know. Well, I get really bored in comic book covers for almost always for the traditional stuff. Not always, but sometimes you can find a lane that you can just have fun in. But I always hate the note. Spider-Man has to face the camera.
Oh, yeah,
shit. Why? I don't own Spider-Man, so I need to shut the fuck up. But Why? Just
That's
tell me
why
why.
I no longer, or I usually avoid team books, because there's only
Yeah,
so many ways you can do a team book cover.
it's whatever Jim Lee did in your style.
Yeah, well, I mean, or a million other people that have done
I'm
team books.
joking, but
Yeah. Well, no, but you're right. I mean, it's either sorry, it's either they're coming at you, fighting a shit ton of people, or they're standing around looking like it's a rock, music band photo, where
it's a
they're all trying to look
U2
bad.
album cover or something.
Yeah, they're all, yeah. It's kind of like Batman always being on a fucking gargoyle,
Yeah.
overlooking the city. It's like, man, if you're gonna do that, at least try to do something different with it,
If you're gonna retread a tire, you better do something cool.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. More questions. By the way, I don't know if you saw, but I totally drew Charlie
Portrait
Brown.
of me. Thanks, Dave.
That's Charlie Brown, man.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a really good-looking bald man in a nice sweater.
Question for you guys. Which of any complete story do you wish you could have worked on or done a better job than the original work? Ew, man.
Ooh, that one's got some stink on it.
Yeah, that could be
Dangerous.
yeah. Shit. I'm not gonna touch that one, man. That's getting into making people angry. Especially
you get people choosing sides, man. I'm already inking Buscema. You should see the hate mail messages I get just for inking them.
Please. Let's see. We're gonna skip that one. That's
sorry.
That'll get us in trouble.
Private conversation stuff.
Let's see. Did Henry Cavill have a mustache? No, he didn't. He was clean shaven at the time. Let's see. Thank you, Captain Negativity. The second Super Patriot mini was sick. Thank you.
Agree with whoever.
The first one, speaking of bad inking choices, I was using a Uniball for most of it, which I do not recommend. Oh man!
Makes me feel better about some of the choices I've made, man.
Yeah, I had a big learning curve between 1 and 2, the second series. Let's see. What advice would I give inkers? Honestly, you better learn how to draw, because a lot of people now are just doing it all themselves. Inkers are finding it harder and harder to find work,
I get old inkers that that ink me like on Batman and stuff will like contact me looking for work, and I feel terrible, man. I don't know what to say.
It's crazy.
Now with legit skillful inkers.
Yeah, most and the youngins, the young generation, they aren't even penciling anymore. They're just going straight to finishes in Photoshop or
color breakdowns
or whatever.
Like half the time.
Yeah. Let's see.
No matter what you do, learn how to draw.
Yeah.
Even if you're lettering.
Yeah. Well, yeah, once again, that's another skill that nobody really needs anymore.
They don't understand design.
Well, that is true. I mean, don't get me wrong, but yeah, if you go into this business just as a letterer now, you're gonna be hurting.
Tough row, huh?
Here's another question. I hear Tom Hardy owns some of those covers. Is he still show running? I don't know if he owns it. I personally haven't sold him any covers. If I did, I would have charged them like a shit
movie star rate.
Yeah. I don't know if he still has the property or not. I know when I heard he was talking about wanting to make it into a movie, I literally just threw up my hands and I was horrified. That thing is not a movie. It needs to be an HBO series or something that doesn't have standards and practices, watering it down. So
And
hopefully,
it's a slow burn and lots long stretches of
oh
second act
no,
slow burns that are beautiful. How do you do that in a movie?
you can't. There's no way. I mean,
It-
it just no. So,
yeah, know your medium, right?
and hey, Zach, look at the screen. This is just for you.
What do you got here? You're awesome, Zach. You're cool too. Hey, thanks for including Dave. I know that was just you being nice, but I'm glad there's nice people still out there in these trying times.
Mark asks, "What's wrong with ska?" Nothing's wrong with ska, except it gets a little repetitive sometimes.
And the checkered, stupid hats. You need.
Yeah,
I
well,
can't take it.
hey, that was a time and place,
Yeah, I'm not going to make fun of time and place. You got to see my haircut in the '90s. So
Yeah, I mean, man, I would have killed living in Georgia to have a thin suit with a thin black tie and a place to actually go and hang out. But I was surrounded by rednecks, so I had to.
checkered bands.
Yeah, it was like my secret shame being a ska fan, not a Leonard Skinner aficionado. Actually, I got to take that back. Leonard Skinner's okay. It was 38 Special. I couldn't stand.
Oh my God!
They were the worst.
My brother-in-law was the drummer for Molly Hatchet.
Oh, I love Molly Hatchet.
Yeah, and I got so we're like behind the scenes at whatever concert. What was it? I think it was the Butthole Festival in Florida.
Oh my! I think it was the state fair.
Was it the state fair?
Yeah.
And it was 38 Special and Molly Hatchet, and they got offended because I asked where the second drummer was. They got really mad at me because there's only one drummer, and I was like, "That's all I remember about you, asshole."
Well, wait. Are you sure you're not confusing Leonard Skinner?
No, 38 Special, their big hit, their video. I remember as a kid, like '82. I can't remember the song. They had two drummers, like back to back or side to side.
Oh,
I thought it was so cool as a kid, and then as I got older, I was just like, "Fuck you, just get a drummer."
I just always turned them off whenever
The other guy needs to get towels and shit for everybody. You don't need two drummers.
I was also big into Atlanta Rhythm Section. I always liked their stuff. Champagne Jam and
what's your guilty pleasure that you don't like admitting to people? You got to get to know them for music.
I don't mind. I actually own one song each. I own a Rihanna song, and I own a what's her name? Blonde. She was real big about 5 years ago. God damn it! Man, my brain is just not working today. She made a song called "Beautiful."
Yeah. Christina Aguilera, my wife says.
Yeah, I actually own that song. It was a good. Hey, once again, I guess suckered in. It was a good song.
Dave, you are beautiful.
I'm not gonna. Hey, a good song is a good song.
Dave, you're beautiful. Just accept it, and it's okay. Mine is one of the lamest things. I survived almost all the hair rock music thanks to the Misfits, but one, God damn it, there's a few songs that they do that just I got to really know you before I allow you in on this secret. Is Tesla. There's a few fucking songs of Tesla.
Man, Tesla.
Yeah, that's a rough one, huh? You don't break that out on first date.
Well, at least you didn't say Striker. Was it Striker? Or
there's both Striker and Striper.
Striper, yeah.
What the fuck was everybody snorting, man?
We're gonna melt your face for Jesus.
Yeah, Winger. There, my wife just brought up Winger. Let's.
It's funny. I actually hated Whitesnake as a teen, but when I discovered his work on in Deep Purple, I mean that stuff is epic. I mean that is really good. But yeah, then I think I rejected most hair metal just from the image alone. It's like, what? I
Yeah,
just
why?
it never looked cool to me. It just it
Leather
looked like
pants, makeup, and they're all like kicking on a stage and smoke.
yeah, it just you know, I mean, Van Halen pulled it off, but
Yeah, that's Van Halen, man.
yeah, they will never be out of favor for me, or at least the early stuff. Actually, that last album they did was amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, if you haven't bought it, if you like old Van Halen, it's because they pulled out all these old demos
Huh.
from in between, I think the second and third album or something, and they just re-recorded them. So they all, I mean, except for the title track, "Tattoo," which I guess was a brand new song. All
I'm
the other
sure it's
ones,
great.
are great. I highly recommend it.
I liked him as a kid, man. But again, once I got into punk music, and then that led me into blues and stuff, I had trouble going backwards.
See, I listen to everything. I mean, you know, I listen to old '40s music, old '40s rhythm and blues. I mean,
There ain't nothing wrong with that. I get really into soul, like soul from different eras and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's amazing what you can find on Spotify if you really dig.
sure. And Miss Gifford, I will gladly trade you artwork for my creepy Charlie Brown.
You
So,
mean the Zach Howard self-portrait or
yep,
portrait?
yep. Let's see. Uh, I'm looking for some other questions.
Rossi doesn't trade me art, you lucky man.
I guess that's it. We don't have any other questions. We have gone through them unless we get new ones.
Well, I liked our Tesla bent. Another one, Neil Diamond. I will fight you to the death if you don't like Neil Diamond.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. Thank you, Derek, for the Johnson and Nolan on Alan Moore's Wildcats. That was a fun. I mean, being inked by Kevin Nolan. I mean, how could you not? You
No.
know, I mean, it's funny though because you know I'm sure a lot of people, or maybe not everybody knows, but a lot of times Kevin will redraw stuff, whether you want him to or not. And there were quite a few panels in there where I just knew he was going to redraw the face or the head. So a couple of, like I remember one I drew Bart Simpson's head on a character. You know, I was like, I knew I remember calling him. I was like, when he got the pages, and I was like, I knew you were going to redraw it anyway, so why even bother? You know, so I did a quick.
Just piss in the wind as performance art, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny when people get inked by Kevin and he doesn't change anything, and then they're always disappointed. You know, I know Mignola talked about that when he got inked by him on Alien Salvation. I think that's what the book was called.
Yeah, it was.
And
one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, and Mike was just complaining, you know, like crazy about how Kevin didn't change anything. But how can you put a Kevin Nolan face on a Mike
Mignola slope-shouldered body?
Yeah, it's like certain things well, once again, it's kind of like why change Mike Mignola? It's all there. You don't need to add to it. You can't make it
ice cream on top of steak. You know,
yeah.
It's what are you doing?
Speaking of which, my dad he sold meat to industries.
Yeah,
like Arby's and stuff. You know, that meat's got to come from somewhere. You know, it was all industrial meat. You know, he sold roast beef, I guess.
Yeah.
And years after he retired, my parents came to Vegas. I can't remember why we were all in Vegas for some reason. And I took them to, I forgot what steakhouse. It was like a high-end steakhouse. And I made him order, because I was going to pay for it, a A5 Kobe beef.
Like Ruth Chris Steakhouse type of?
Oh, it was way better than Ruth Chris. I mean, we're talking like it was some famous chef's steakhouse.
Yeah.
And I made him order an A5 Kobe, and if you know anything about that steak, I mean, it literally melts in your hand, because
Wow.
the fat content is so ingrained in the cow. I mean, it's super expensive. It was like an $80 steak, and it wasn't even big either. It was like a tiny, tiny steak, and it comes out, and he starts reaching for the A1 sauce.
Better than
And
ketchup. That would have
I
been
literally slapped it out of his hands. I said, "How dare you, sir?" I said, "You are not going to eat that with A1." And I made him eat it, like a real steak should be eaten. And he thanked me later, because that would have. I mean, oh my God, it's like drawing a mustache on the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, that bringing Arby's sauce to the that would have been total punk rock if he brought an actual Arby's packet and squirted it
Or
on
if
a
he
plate.
ordered it well done, that's another one I would have vetoed. It was like, nope, nope, hell no.
Dads are the best, man.
Somebody wants to know what your favorite punk bands are.
Oh, me. Well, Black Flag, Dead Kennedys.
Wait, Black Flag, you mean the Dan Fraga thing? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I don't know Dan Fraga. Apologies. I know of his art, I think.
No, he's got a Indiegogo right now for a book called Black Flag that he did back in the '90s, and he's bringing.
I mean, Henry Rollins. He came from Black Flag.
Yeah.
And Circle Jerks, a lead singer, jumped out of there prior to Henry. I really like the. I don't know, all the shit I used to skate and surf to. So yeah, it's mostly just Misfits, Dead Kennedys, and.
Did you ever hear Murphy's Law?
Oh yeah. There's so many. Oh my God,
I loved Murphy's Law, man.
A bottomless rabbit hole.
So many great bands.
Yeah, you can just. I'd say it's not really punk, but I'm a big Ian McCall fan. So, Minor Threat and a lot of the stuff he did really did it for me too. As I got older and found all the really good shit, but I never really got into things like the Ramones outside of like childhood. It was too. And this is not a knock on the music. It just is what it is. It's a little too simple, and I can't keep listening to it. But
I think that's the appeal of the Ramones. It's a throwback to '60s rock.
Yeah.
But,
it has like a few surf chords in it here and there, and it is what it is, and it's wonderful. But I always like the shit that kind of kicks you in the chest.
Sure. No Green Day then?
Actually, Green Day before Dookie, they had a really good album, Kerplunk, I think.
Yeah.
I used to skate the Kerplunk. That was good shit.
It's kind of like I actually have a soft spot for the early albums of Smash Mouth. Hey, I can't lie, man. I like that.
Sorry.
Well, before you laugh, I mean, have you heard like the early stuff?
No, I haven't.
All right, well then shut your face.
Well, somebody once told me.
No, I'm talking the
Goo Goo Dolls. That's who my wife always says. She's from Buffalo, and they're like, "Oh, they were a great punk band," and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. Sorry, Smash Mouth, man.
You gotta, if you heard, well, I mean, once again, it was kind of like punk ska a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what sucked me in.
You know what? I got an embarrassing confession to make you feel better. Is I have early Sugar Ray albums that I thought an early Sugar Ray album that I thought was fucking great. I thought they were going to be a good punk band.
All right. Well,
it just got really pretty.
Okay. Well, then you have to listen to the early Smash Mouth and give it a real, exclude the poppy shit that they ended up later. But the early stuff was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just like fun and had some good hardcore stuff in there. And
I
good.
believe you, man. People have two things. One, they evolve. Three things. Two,
Yeah.
they find money, and that feels good when you can pay your bills. And then three, he got fat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I liked early U2, and then after like 2 albums, it just became insufferable with the preachiness of it and the same thing with REM. REM used to be really great, and then they got all like I don't know, flowery, I guess, or everything was.
It's just thick,
bad,
man. You can't make the song. What was it? Stand in the place where you live, and never again will I take you seriously as a human being.
Yeah, precisely. It just.
I'm sorry.
Weird. But you could say that about a lot of bands, I guess. They just
All
kind of lose
artists
that
across
edge.
all fields. You can say that about filmmakers, musicians. It seems like, I don't know, but they ebb and flow as far as their true potent creativity goes, or as far as their expression is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, when you're younger, you always end up doing unique stuff because you don't know any better. You know? The one thing I hate about when rock groups get older is you see them in concert and they start getting bloated with, now they've got orchestras and they slow everything down because they're better at playing, and they want to do a better job at playing these songs that the real value of those songs to begin with was the raw power aspect of it, and then they totally eliminate all that.
They overproduced it. They lost the art part of it. The part of art is expression, at least almost always, I feel, in most art forms. And they just, my wife just brought up Korn. You listen to their first album, they're angry. They're just hanging their dicks out. Their second album, they're like, I got a pool and a mansion. I'm angry. It doesn't work anymore, man.
They're angry that their pool is dirty.
Yeah, the pool cleaner charged me too much.
So the same guy wants to know, what was your first punk album?
Ooh, that's a good one. I gotta think. Misfits Walk Among Us. That one just imprinted in my brain. If you ever see me in my life and I have that open mouth kind of 1,000-yard, brain damage stare, I'm probably singing Misfits in my head.
Nice.
What's your first seminal album that kind of changed the way you thought, Dave, if you're not into punk?
Well, once again, I mean, for me, it wasn't a punk album. It was my friend turning me on to Deep Purple, and that set that into motion. Because as a kid, I would hear things on the radio like Boston and Chicago, and I always liked Chicago as a kid. Just hearing it on the radio, but I never really thought about it. And then MTV came out, and a kid in my neighborhood had cable, and I went over and watched it because it was new. It was like, what is music television? How crazy! And Madness One Step Beyond, that video came on, and it was like honestly like a lightning bolt. I had to hear more because I remember liking Chicago so much because of the horns.
Yeah. And they were early with mixing between speakers. I remember some sound nerd one time was trying to get me into Yes and Chicago, and they were like playing them through a speaker and how different horns went through different speakers and crazy shit, man.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize, but the guitarist for Chicago and the vocalist who died, it doesn't really come across that well in the popular songs, but that guy was such a good guitarist that Jimi Hendrix even said he was better than he was. I mean, the
That's
guy was a
cool.
real good guitarist. And you can hear in some of their live, jam recordings and stuff. I mean, the guy could really play. And he had a great voice. It just sucked that he was playing around with a gun and, blew his own head off.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I had a great Tesla joke until you said that.
So yeah, and then things like Mike Patton really opened me up, with Faith No More and groups like that. So, and now, lately I've been into more, I don't know, I don't even know what style of music it is, but have you ever heard of groups like 07?
I don't think so.
It's such a it's basically two producers, and they work with the albums that I have. They work with various musicians and singers, and Sia is one of them. And those albums they did are they're great for zoning out, but they're still a listener. They still have lyrics and
They're not ambient noise.
no, and they're just so well done. I remember, I've used them many times when I travel, when I just need to chill,
I get that, and I got a little addition to that just for people that are looking for some kind of new lane for music. There's a station called Mellotron. It's a French DJ station, and they get guest DJs in, and it is absolute. You're like, you can turn it, put it on your TV or computer screen while you work, and it's like working in the streets of Paris while a DJ is just personally doing. It's really really cool. It's called Mellotron. It's on YouTube, and
I'll check it out.
Dude, it's almost like in your ambient vision and your periphery. It's like you're working in a Parisian bar or something like that. It's pretty cool, man.
Nice.
Or Spanish. They just go all over. It's located in Paris, I believe, but that's probably the coolest lane recently I found are these musical channels that do these like a Turkish DJ, that's playing 70s pop, from Turkey, and it's just wild.
Cool.
Just melts you.
I tell you, I mean, literally check out 07.
I will.
I'm just give it a shot. I mean, once again, music is subjective.
Of course.
You may like it, you may not. But it's one of my favorite finds of the past 10 years. I've just been like, I still listen to it to this day.
You got that on the 6-track CD hopper with the Shrek soundtrack?
Man, I got
good to go cross country, man.
Dude, how old are you? No, I'm fully iPodded. MJR says I listened to a lot of 311, which so did I. I was there for their first album.
I didn't mean to hijack you, Dave. Apologies.
No, that's fine.
When I moved from Hawaii to Nebraska, my junior year of high school, 311 just popped, and I got to see something I can barely remember, and then they went to L.A. and that's when they did Grassroots and everything.
Yeah.
They were really cool. They had all like Run DMC stuff. They were really all over the place and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the groups that I tend to really like are the ones that mix genres, and I mean, going back to ska, it's the groups that sound too ska-y I get bored with, but it's the ones that mix ska with everything else. Those are the ones those are the ones that still stick around in my playlist. So let's see. I got here's one for you, Zach. It's not a question, but I don't know if you're familiar with Maruto's work.
I recognize. I'm trying to place it.
I know
I've seen the name. I don't want to say something that I don't know. So I'll just say no, I don't. But cool, man. It's intimidating to ink John Buscema. I can say that.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
I appreciate it. Jeff Johnson's like butter for me, man, when I ink his ass. But
Wait,
I'm trying to challenge myself. I got a John Byrne piece after this. Nick Fury.
Did you say Jeff Johnson butters your ass?
Yes, that's exact quote that. And I got t-shirts coming out. I'm going to force my way into making him draw the fucking Hulk for me.
Oh, nice. Well, wait, you already did that, didn't you?
I did a Hulk piece of his, but I mean, like a Hulk book.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get like Joe Hill to write it and Nelson Daniel to color it and Jeff to draw it and I'll ink it. And
oh my God, that would be amazing.
Just hang heavy. I want everybody to be intimidated by that shit.
Do something mainstream, do it like that.
Let's see, we got just reading some of these.
Derek, thank you for whoever. I'll have to look up that artist. I appreciate it, especially if he's good.
Yeah, he's a really good artist, or was. I don't know if he's still alive. Let's see. Here's one for you, Zach.
What do we got here? Man, I would talk about buttering bread. Get me around Danzig with a shitty haircut and old body, sagging boobs. I'd be all over him. So,
did you ever see? I don't know if
he would say jump. If he'd say shit, and I'd say how high. That's how much joy that man has brought to my life.
Did you ever see Glenn Love's
Rollins?
Yeah, Rollins.
Oh,
yeah.
What a great book, and it has a Rollins quote in it. I hope Glenn doesn't see this.
Yeah, it's so hilarious.
Before when Irwin was at whatever the hell company that was, they were going to do a lyrics book, and I was going to do the Black Flag songs.
Nice.
But it was just because of my love affair with old Hank Rollins. But Glenn Danzig, I could easily do something with Glenn Danzig. I'm jealous of Beasley for that.
Here's the question. I'm not going to put it up on screen, but because I want to ask you, what has 5 arms and sucks?
Oh wow! I don't want to get myself in trouble, so I'll keep it out of the industry.
Here we go. Here it is. Right, here's the answer.
What do we got? Oh Lord! Every album they did, something terrible had to happen. Someone lost an arm. Someone died. I'm sure somebody now has Ebola in their eyeballs or something. And then once that happens, I think the next Def Leppard album comes out.
There were so many jokes that came out of that. I can't remember them now, but I remember.
Yeah, like which one? Which tragedy?
Oh, when he lost an arm.
Oh yeah. My one of my best friends from high school, she became a production manager for rock bands, and she's with the Eagles right now. But she's been in so many cool tours, and whenever they come through Denver, she'll hook me up with like backstage passes. And yeah, I don't know. Def Leppard was one of them. That was probably that, and the Eagles were the only ones I turned down. But I got to like party with some cool bands. Like Disturbed was the most fun, wasn't it, Meg? Or the most fucked up we got. But
White Stripes.
White Stripes was the coolest.
Wasn't she with Van Halen too?
I think she did.
Turn that down.
Yeah, we turned down Van Halen. So, anyways,
was it Van Halen or Van Hagar at that point?
I honestly don't know how many teeth or who was in it.
I can't. It was.
Godsmack was pretty cool too, wasn't it? Yeah.
So was
But she's too good at her job now.
Disturbed.
Yeah, that was Disturbed who we partied with. I wasn't even huge in their music, and they were a lot of fun.
All right, we got another question. What younger writers and artists are you guys really into these days? I can never remember the names. That's my problem. Except
Writers,
for
I don't really pay attention to, but new artists, it's not even new anymore. But young guys who fingers I want to break is James fucking Heron.
oh yeah,
Jesus
well he's not really a
Christ.
new guy. He's
I know, but he's still young.
Yeah.
Young in the face. Needs more scar
Um,
tissue.
who was I
He's
gonna
too
say?
good for his age.
Yeah. Rossi Gifford. She's
Rossi
really good.
Gifford's got to be my favorite young artist.
Yeah, there you go. Gosh. I don't know. Like I follow people on Instagram, but I always forget their names when times like this it comes up, and I'm just like, Arr!
Yeah, I'm
I
right
was
with
actually
you, Dave.
I was actually talking to Dan about how style paradigm shifts, and I'm just wondering if the kind of stuff that I do is now slowly falling out of favor. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but isn't that isn't like following the current style just kind of chasing the dragon a bit?
I'm not saying, believe me, I'm not suggesting that I want to follow any style. I'm just saying, like when I was coming up, I remember, in the early 90s when guys like Herb Trimp and Don Heck, they were Marvel
Got the
House
boot.
style guys. And then all of a sudden, the Image guys came into, and nobody wanted to hire them anymore, because they didn't look imagey enough. And now and all of a sudden here they are, old men, and nobody wants to hire them. And I remember not too long ago, Jerry Ordway wrote a nasty, well, I wouldn't call it nasty, a very angry letter to the universe, basically talking about how he was still a viable artist and he could still tell stories, but nobody wanted to hire him. And I just remember thinking, well, your style has literally not changed. It hasn't evolved. It's actually a retro style, if you think about it. And that's just how nature and artwork works. There's always the push for something new and different,
Oh,
and
always.
so, I mean, he was angry about it, but I'm kind of like, did you not see what happened to Herb Trimp and Don Heck? I mean, those guys, even guys like John Byrne. I mean, I remember, he was like the king of the walk. And I guarantee if he started, really trying to do stuff again, there'd be that nostalgia aspect of it. And I'm not saying it would be a failure, but it wouldn't blow the new,
I get you, man.
the new readers' skirts up like people who do more anime or, I mean, it's like the doors have been blown open as far as what style you have to do now.
I truly believe this, Dave. If you kick ass and are always thinking, you're always going to be evolving. You, of all people, don't need to fucking worry about your style being stagnant. Jesus Christ, you work in what, 32 different styles?
Well, that's because of that. I'm constantly worried of, that I'll be that oh yeah, that's that guy. Let's get somebody new and unique. So
you show me the son of a bitch that even remotely thinks that about you, and I'll start giving that thought some credence.
But here's the thing: I think that about myself. I look at my stuff and I go, God, how can I do something new and different? But I guess that's every artist.
Just because I think that's the sign of a thoughtful artist, not someone who's looking to cash a paycheck.
Yeah.
At least philosophically,
I guess.
I think that's the important thing is as long as you stay interested in what you stay interested in, you're always going to express yourself in a new way because you're always bringing in new information and new this and that. I can't fucking stand a guy that or lady, but let's be frank, most assholes are fat guys in this industry that have been around too long. But
What about the non-assholes?
well, there's some good people here, but people get so fucking afraid of, oh, am I going to be famous anymore? I've already tasted fame. I'm getting all this money, this and that. And what happens is that fucking gunslinger mentality you had when you were an artist, i.e. when you were younger and nobody was watching. I think the magic of being progressive on a personal level, as far as art is concerned, is to never lose that zeal of wanting to explore, not worrying about what the fuck other people think. I hear more people, they're always saying, I don't care what other people think. All you fucking care about is what other people think.
Yeah.
Shut up.
No, I know.
You're drawing the same you did in 1997. Shut up. You know?
No, I agree with, wanting to do, your own stuff and not worrying about it. But at the same time, when, the phone calls stop and that's, then it's too late.
Get it. I get it.
You're like, oh shit, maybe I should have done this, that, and the other thing. So
I get that. And I'm not trying to belittle people that have that concern or fear or live that life. But I also think, I don't know, maybe I am too punk rock.
But your style has to be good.
I think you got to always be expressing yourself, and your art is a direct expression of you at all times. And if you're just this boring, unchanging SOB, well, go cash your checks. But when that popularity train ends, well, guess what? You're going to be hat in hand, and I don't want to see anybody like that.
Yeah. No, me neither. I mean, it's a rough thing to be felt like you've been left behind, Yeah,
I don't know. I was never included, so I don't have to worry. But I don't know. One thing I've noticed in my little nook, because no one ever pays attention to me, is I just do whatever the fuck I want at all times, and it still worked out.
Yeah.
So I might be shitty for giving advice because I'm not a prodigy. I'm not even that talented.
That is advice, though. That's what I've done.
You're a hard worker.
I try to live my life in a fearless way.
Sure.
And when you do that, I think that's the only state that you create art in, or that's the most productive or most creative expression.
Believe me, I'm not trying to craft a style that will be popular. I'm just drawing what feels right, So
and you do it well. And so I don't know. I get the existential dread, Dave. I'm not trying to belittle it. I apologize for bulldozing over that. I think there's a lot of cowardice in this industry, and I know that's alarming to some, but I truly believe people are afraid to express themselves, and a lot of it is because there's a lot of I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into specifics on that, but I would love the people that impress me and that I always see adapt and evolve are those that have something to fucking say.
Yeah.
And if you're just trying to be here for whatever reason and be popular and cash a check, that there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to be more understanding when the money train leaves and you're not invited, is what I'm saying. And that's I understand how brutal that sounds, but that's how I live my life. And I don't necessarily judge other people. I just refuse to let that thought into my life, if that makes sense. And I don't have kids and shit, so it's easy for me to say a lot of things.
Yeah. Believe me, I'm the same way. I've turned down some pretty decent paying gigs just because I didn't want to do it. It's like, ugh.
There you go.
And but then sometimes I get to draw a chicken's butthole. I don't know if you can see it. Right, there it is.
It's a mighty fine butthole. Now, how much research went into that?
I want to say a lot, but not much.
Oh, you lazy artist.
And here's the funny thing is I actually still put that in the final, and it didn't get edited out. So there's a cover out there where I drew a chicken's butthole and it made it through. So
That's a moment of divinity, is what I'd call it.
I'm just going through. I don't feel like drawing anymore, so I'm just trying to keep my visual side of things going. So well,
Dave, I got like I said, I won't gush, but one of the coolest things, I don't know how often you do things for like books as far as write-ups and things like that, but you wrote on the back of Wildly Yonder. When was it that I'm curious that you actually thought I was a fucking professional artist, that you would do something like that, put your name on my bullshit?
well, you paid me.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Let's redact that. Yeah. Do you ever have any of those moments where you just, because I told you about my Batman nerd out session that kind of pushed me over the edge. Do you have a thing like that kind of seminal moment that it wasn't the sum of like what makes you as an artist and taking a chance in yourself and wanting to be this, but it's that moment, that kind of significant emotional event that kind of sticks with you, that like, yeah, I can really feel I was a different person from this point and then afterwards.
Well, one of them, I mean, when I met Steranko for the first time, and it was at San Diego Comic-Con, and actually the whole weekend was magical. One, I was still living in North Carolina at the time, and I wanted to leave really bad, and I didn't want to go back to Atlanta, but I didn't know where else to go. And I'd become friends with Glenn Murakami before that, and they had been trying to hire me on Batman Beyond, but I always said no, because I was in a studio in North Carolina, and I didn't think I would like LA, and it was, that was a huge change for me. And but like you said, I was between a rock and a hard place, and I ran into Glenn and Bruce Timm at the show. Oof. And I said, hey, is that job still open? And they said, yeah. So I was like, oh shit. Not only do I have a full-time gig working on an amazing show, but I had a place to move to. And then also during the show, and you got to understand, at this point, Red Sun had been sitting on the shelf for, I don't even know how long at that point. Like, I just never finished it. And I was afraid that I was on the verge of being blackballed by DC. And I ran into Mark Chiarello, and I told him how I was feeling. And he said, don't worry about it. Drop those bricks. Don't worry about it. You're good with me. You're good with DC. And as a matter of fact, how about some cover work? And he gave me the Detective Comics covers that I did.
That changed my life.
There you go. So that was
huh? How crazy.
That was number 2. And then number 3 was, I was leaving the show on a Saturday, and I ran into Eric Larson. The show was closing down, and we're walking out and talking about, the old days. And we come up on Jim Steranko's booth, and he goes, hey, Jim? And I was like, I had seen him at shows, and he always looked like the kind of guy that wouldn't take any bullshit. I just figured, people were already comparing what I was doing on 100 Bullets to Jim Steranko. So I was worried that if he did know of me, he would be angry at me for some reason. And like maybe I was trying to rip him off or something. And, Eric talked me into it. So we went over and said hello. And Eric talked to him first, and he said, by the way, this is Dave Johnson. And he goes, Dave Johnson? The Dave Johnson? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I love your stuff. And he grabbed me, and he's a grabber. He likes to manhandle you. And he told me that, whenever he got comps, he would find my covers and rip the cover off and keep it in a file. He had a Dave Johnson file on
Oh
me.
my God.
And then he goes, what are you doing for dinner? And I already had plans, but I just said nothing. And he goes,
fuck that guy.
yeah. And he's like, you're coming to dinner with me. And he told me the restaurant to be in, and I show up. Oh, and he said, bring your portfolio. And back then I used to keep one of, like one of these portfolios, like 8.5 by 11. And
Yeah,
had my
yeah.
cover, my printed covers I would slide them into. And because, back then you're like, oh, who are you? And you'd be like, oh, I'm Dave Johnson. Here's some of my work. And so I show up at the restaurant, and he comes waltzing in with a huge entourage, and he makes a beeline for me, and he goes, it's so funny. He grabs me again, and he pulls me in real close, and he goes, make sure you sit next to me. I'm sick of these fucks. So that was hilarious.
Just glowing for days, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, and then after we ordered, or after we ate, he goes, all right, bring your portfolio out. And he ended up going through it, and nobody's ever done this before or since. And he told me what I was thinking and why I did certain things to each cover. It was amazing. I mean,
wow.
and it just, it was like validation, like he was telling me why I was doing things when half the time I don't even know. I'm just following instinct. I don't have a terminology index for everything he was saying. And it was awesome, And I remember being in a cab on my way to the airport, to fly back to North Carolina, and the cab had to drive by the bay, and the wind, the San Diego wind, that cool breeze and the sun. Yeah. And I've never been more content in life than I was at that point, because literally I had no problems in life at that point. I went from
awesome,
feeling like shit to the world is my oyster. And, that was a transformative, that really changed how I was thinking about everything. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And, he's still a friend today. Whenever we see each other at shows, he's always super nice. And, talking to him is a chore because he knows so much. And I learned very quickly not to bullshit. If he goes, hey, what do you think about this? And normally, yeah, of course, I love that, blah, blah, blah. And then he'd go, but then he would start asking questions. And so I just
weren't
learned,
the Cliff Notes version. They actually had to know it.
Yeah. So I learned early on. I just go, Jim, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I just had to own it. It's like, dude, you're older. You're as old as my grandfather. You obviously know a shit ton of stuff that I have no clue about. So,
just a well of shit he's forgotten that would curl your toes.
So we got another question. Didn't Tony Harris draw a dog licking its anus every run he did? Maybe. That sounds like something Tony would do. I could see him doing that.
Yeah, I could see that too. Is this in Starman, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess somewhere.
That'd be a little punk rock if it was in Starman.
Yeah, I mean, I learned early on not to hide anything that could get me in trouble. I'd seen so many guys get in so much trouble for hiding things in like bookshelves and things like that, and or to if you're gonna use reference, don't use super famous photographs as reference.
Don't use the cover of whatever that lingerie magazine used to be.
No, even worse than that. And I won't mention who did it, but this artist at Marvel was drawing a Doctor Strange cover, and he drew a demon woman who literally was 80% of the cover, is mainly her face, and it was a red-horned demon woman, but he used Amy Grant's photo from her best-selling album. I mean, instant lawsuit. Instant
Oh my
lawsuit.
God.
I
That's
mean,
why I remember the first Marvel contract I signed.
yeah.
Oh shit, I can't say the artist's name. There was a name for the clause in it for not copying photo. You're saying I'm not copying a photograph or something like that.
Yeah.
And they actually called it by the artist's name. I thought that was hilarious.
Another artist, this was even funnier. Well, not even funny. It's as well. Actually, it's not as funny, but he used the portrait of a, I think, Spanish dignitary. One of those where he's wearing a military uniform. It was like royalty. It was some.
Okay.
And he literally just copied that. It was either a photograph or a portrait painted and turned it into Magneto, and that, so like a whole country was offended.
Hey, that's actually now back into the realm of art if you can offend a whole country.
Yeah, but once again, Marvel was not happy about it.
Yeah, I suspect Marvel Legal and you got to have a few conversations.
Yeah, a rip off. I remember when Chris Cornell, when he was in Soundgarden, he did that one. It was a cover of just him screaming on Rolling Stone, and I can't tell you how many times I saw artists rip that off. And it was like, once again, if you're gonna rip something off, don't rip off.
The Rolling Stones.
You're
gonna rip off a Beatles album.
Find something obscure that nobody will ever find out about.
That's a bit much. Mike Raich, the writer of Wild Blue Yonder, he used to edit X-Men. I think he was an associate editor or something. He has a funny story of a very, very famous several very famous artist stories that are funny. But one was someone that will go unnamed that we all love was late on something. He turned in. It was. Is Hawkeye the guy with the bow and arrow in Avengers?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was Hawkeye, and he was like, whatever, just pointing just off camera or something like that. And the editor had a young kid that he just bought a crossbow or a bow and arrow, Nerf bow and arrow set for.
Yeah.
Literally traced the cover of the Nerf bow and arrow set. And just put Hawkeye's face on the kid.
No way.
I'm not lying. Mike Raich tells it great. He has a couple funny ones, man. People doing double page spreads and silhouette to make an X-Men deadline and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure those X-Men editors have a litany of nightmares to let us, if they ever get drunk and tell you a story, huh?
Sure. No, I know, once again, I'm not going to mention names, even though I've mentioned them in the past. But he has a long history of ripping people off, and but some of the funnier ones were he would literally Photoshop, like when a character is made into a statue for sale, he took. He took two photos that he didn't even take himself. He just pulled them off of previews and photoshopped them into a piece and called it original. Like,
there we go.
like, you're like, how dumb are you? Good God.
There's a litany of stupid in this industry, man. So where stupid and desperate kind of overlap.
Yeah.
I think a lot of artists have found themselves. I know I've done some embarrassing things, never traced for fuck's sake, but I don't know. I have a certain amount of understanding and forgiveness to people when they're young, but when you see like an old dude that's like older than you, and been around forever doing like super stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's once again, that same artist recently he got busted because he took a very well-known cosplayer who does an amazing job cosplaying the Joker, and he recreated the Killing Joke cover,
Oh,
but
smart.
with a photo. He put forth the effort to. I mean, he got the camera and I mean, it's an amazing photograph of this cosplayer doing, the Killing Joke cover.
Yeah,
And
they put a lot of work into it.
well, no, that's not the problem. I mean, that's just being that's a tribute. He's not trying to pass it off as,
Well, that's what cosplay's for, right?
Oh yeah. So, but here's where it gets fucked up. Is the artist that I mentioned earlier? He took that photo and typed in zombie on Google search, pulled the first photo of a decaying skull, photoshopped that onto the photograph of the cosplayer, and turned it in as a zombified version of the Killing Joke cover.
Oh my Christ.
And he got all he did was and he added blood to the camera. That's all he did. And he got busted, obviously.
You can't get away with that shit nowadays, man.
Well, he didn't, but he got a shitstorm coming, that came his way, and he tried to explain that it was a comp, and it was like, no, you thought you were getting away with it, you don't.
You announce comps, don't you? When you do it.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God, it just made me so angry. But once again, we're not going to bring in his name because I'm not.
Well, I don't know him anyway, so who gives a shit? But
yeah,
fuck him in the butt. Sorry, we're not supposed to curse like that on this show. Apologies.
I don't care anymore. But
we'll double fuck him in the butt, huh?
Yeah. We at the Drink and Draw Social Club broadcast, we're trying to not shit on people like other famous podcasts. We're just, we are trying to keep it positive. So I don't want to call anything up on him.
There's enough bullshit out there, right?
Yeah. Well, once again, we're trying to talk about stuff that we like, and it's.
I'd rather see you slayers actually make artwork. I think when I drink, I curse more. Apologies, Dave.
That's fine. I mean, we're trying to live up to our guru, this man right here on screen, and that's the great Albert Dorn, the guy with the best eyebrows ever.
They're up there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, he was one of the best commercial artists back in the day. He was Norman Rockwell's contemporary. And I think he even made more money than Rockwell at the time because the guy was just so fast and just an amazing illustrator. He could have been a comic book artist. I mean, his stuff is very comic centric.
But weren't all the great illustrators? They could have easily. You could see a Norman Rockwell.
Oh yeah,
comic in your brain.
Yeah, totally. If anybody's watching, if you're not familiar with Albert Dorn, please familiarize yourself with him because he was the freaking man. All right, let me.
I got a would you rather, Dave, for you because this is a philosophical question. I'm more curious about your philosophy more than most of these yokels. Would you rather draw one image that just withstood time forever, one piece of artwork, let's say, or would you like to be this machine that just did an unbelievable library, though it had a bunch of warts in it? It's still beloved because it's just tremendous library. God damn it, I can't say tremendous anymore because of orange.
Wait, maybe I missed the what was the
The
question?
question: would you rather, if you could only be known for two things, one image that just withstood all of time history, when the aliens land on Earth, they find your shit because that's how popular and famous it was, or would you rather have a killer library that just you did a substantial amount of work that's beloved, but it does have warts and all of that?
Oh man,
I'm curious what you think about something like that.
That's shit. I don't know. I think having a ton of work, that was decent, I guess. You know, I don't know. Actually, this brings up a conversation I had not too long ago about music versus art, and how a musician can create a song or an album that, if they sign the right contracts, could literally last them their entire career,
Yeah, one song could just buy you a mansion and put your kids to school.
Whereas art, and also they, imagine, I guess, drawing the same drawing over and 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 over again. I mean,
to me, that's a monthly artist, man. I mean, I use that as a generic placeholder, but I've never understood these people that can just do it again and again and again and again. I would pound my head through a corner on a table until I was dead, if that were my fate.
Yeah, I mean, I see guys like the guy does Blue Dog. You know who I'm talking about, right? That guy just paints that blue dog with yellow eyes.
Yes. Over and over.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he has a bunch of immigrants locked up in a basement now, and he just, it's kind of like Andy Warhol. He just has a studio that he just pays other people to paint Blue Dog over and over and over.
He's Jim Davis, Francis Garfield, except now he just deals with dungeon gear while people draw his work.
But he had to get to that point eventually, and that's still a lot of years painting the same freaking blue dog.
I don't get it, man. I mean, I'm not ever going to knock somebody like, I just like drawing Batman, and they draw 400 issues of Batman. But to me, man, that's...
I have an art theory. I call it the McDonald's theory, about why people like that kind of, even with a style or whatever, like an artist that, you always know he's going to draw the same shit.
Yeah.
Maybe not exactly.
The hatching's going to look on the shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, and my theory is it's the McDonald's effect. And the reason McDonald's and fast food restaurants, once they started becoming centralized with their product, you always knew what you were going to get no matter what McDonald's you were at.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with art sometimes, is art that doesn't necessarily challenge you, but it pleases you. You're less likely to, grow tired of it.
Interesting.
I mean,
that's actually really well thought out, because I equate most mainstream U.S. comic book art with like Arby's and fast food. Yeah. If you're fed bullshit long enough your whole life, that's what you think food is. And if somebody just gives you a nice, nutritious 4-course meal or something, you'd think it was shit. You just want a Arby's cheddar melt.
Well, and nostalgia also plays into that,
of course.
Once again,
grew up with Green Lantern, right?
Well, or just a certain artist that you liked as a young man, once again, I every once in a while talk to a fan that grew up on Image, and not even, we're once again, I'm not going to bring up names, but some of that Image stuff, I mean, there was no story, there was no substance, it was
It was pretty terrible.
It was all icing, and
Huh.
and they still like it to this day, and I'm like, I don't know, there's a part of me that just doesn't understand it,
Is there a part of you that gets hurt by it too, almost?
Not hurt. I mean, people like what they like. An ex-girlfriend of mine turned me onto a phrase that I will never forget now that I know it. But, try not to yuck somebody else's yum,
Yeah.
And it makes sense, if that's what they like. I mean, sometimes I'm disappointed, I'm kind of like, shit, like, really? Like, that's what you like, like,
especially if you like a person. You ever notice that you like somebody and they like Smash Mouth or something, and you're like, son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Bring it around, dude.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, if there's a choice between, filet mignon in a 4-star restaurant versus Taco Bell, and the person goes, oh shit, Taco Bell, no question. You're just kind of like, why? What? I mean, I get it, it's comfort, but man, like, try a little harder, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just, you only got so many days on this planet, and maybe today shouldn't be a Taco Bell day.
I mean, I just, like, coming up, I remember going to the comic book shop, and the ones I liked the best were comic shops that had, a paperback, section, and they had a magazine section, and that's where I ended up finding things like underground comics, and or like old heavy metals, like before it became mainstream, like, it was, finding European heavy metal stuff, and it just, like, so expanded my brain, like, I'm so glad I found that stuff, because, if comics were the end all, or American comics were the only stuff I'd been exposed to, then I'd feel sad about that now, like, that would be terrible.
I agree with you completely. There's not that there isn't a place for American comics. American comics don't have a litany of options and spectrum of choices of styles and expression. But to your point, there's something, the flavor of a European comic book, there's definitely a different goal when you read one.
Yeah.
It at least felt like it for the most part, obviously, not everything, but you don't see a Claire Wendling in American comics very often,
Yeah.
Or pick your poison, my lord, a Mobius, whoever.
I agree. It was magical when I'd find that stuff, and then the smell of old books too. Isn't
that the best?
You don't get that in most modern comic book stores now. It doesn't have that.
It's like a mold almost that smells good to you. Another thing I noticed about those old bookstores, I don't know what it is about the smell. I'm glad they had bathrooms in there, because the second I walked into a bookstore back in the day, I just had to run and just explode their bathroom.
Dude, I was the same way.
Stage 4 shit. Then I could just browse their books forever. But there's something about those old books smell, man.
I'm glad you said that, because I would have the same Pavlovian thing happen.
There you go, brother.
I would walk in and luckily I was friends with the guys who own the comic store. And I'd be like, I'll be right back. I gotta go see the.
They just hand you the keys without a word.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's so funny. It was definitely a Pavlovian. I don't even know why.
I have no clue, man. It was something I'd walk into. Even a Books A Million would do it to me.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble. I would almost instantaneously have to go take a dump.
Oh, and Barnes and Noble upped the dump game because they cleaned their bathroom. That was a
Yeah.
whole new thing.
Well, that is true.
So props, Barnes and Noble. You have the best bathrooms in the book game. Shit,
Nice.
many times there. Thank you.
Well, hey, man, we've been going for 2 hours.
Too long.
25. No, it's been great. I mean, we've kept 26 people entertained. So
There we go. 26 humans, better human beings because of us.
and then tomorrow night, where is it? I know
You
Dan.
got the master himself, right?
Yeah.
Eduardo Camino is coming in to show you guys what's up.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to draw, but there's no guarantee, unfortunately. So,
Well,
I don't
know.
We'll see.
Intimidate him, Dave. I have to draw around you, otherwise I'll start thinking I'm talking to Dave Johnson. So.
Oh, please! How dare you?
But man, hey Dave, thank you for this. Even though this is a prelude to the Grand Wizard himself, Mike Mignola, it truly is an honor to even be considered the
honestly,
slightest bit a peer of yours. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you.
I knew, having just you and me on, we'd be able to talk more.
Yeah.
Once again, that's another reason why we're doing these smaller ones. Is sometimes, too many. It's just too many cooks.
5 people's a lot, and then if you're not of, say, like a Panosian, Johnson and Johnson and Quesada, if you're not of that ilk, I don't get intimidated very easily, but I tend to be more quiet a little bit and breathe more on those podcasts. And also to your point, there's a lot of people, so you don't know when you can talk or when you laugh, etc.
No, that's been my problem. Is I want to say something, and then I'm already past the point because I couldn't get a word in. But hey, once again, I got your CBD oil company.
Thank you.
And you got the website down there, idealorganics.net.
Ideal-organics.net. For a month, we got a code comic book at one word at checkout, and you get 10% off.
Nice. And let me tell you, the mint chocolate flavor actually pretty decent.
Well, thank you very much. We tried. There's actually a food scientist that developed that flavor for us, so we're very fortunate.
Yeah, no, you did a good job, and like I said, the stuff worked pretty well. So
I appreciate it, man. If you ever need any more, hit me up.
And now, where are you going to show the final on this?
I'll do it on Facebook and Instagram. I left Twitter, so I'm only on Facebook, Instagram, and DeviantArt. You know that rockin' place, DeviantArt?
I used to be on it all the time, and then I just kind of lost. I don't know,
Dude, it's a tumbleweeds, but like my entire portfolio's on there, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm not doing it over again. Go there.
All right. Well, thanks for being on, man. Had a good time, and once again, you're definitely going to be back.
Anytime, Dave. I'm just I'm enjoying unemployment this year. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I know the feeling, man. I think that's why people are watching this so much, because there's not much else to do, and you've pretty much binged every show on Netflix, Amazon, and
every album you have. You know every note. You know every factoid about every note. It gets old, man. So I get it.
And once again, Rossi, this is coming your way. We'll work out the details in private.
What a lucky woman.
And yeah,
it's cool. Rossi, you own a portrait of me. Now that's photorealistic. I don't know if you know that. Dave knows me that well.
All right, guys. We will see you. Well, hopefully some of you will see you tomorrow. All right.
Good luck. Thanks, Dave. Bye, everyone.